And that's that's the Trump
A
formula?
little bit of a pungent odor, I would say, yeah. You definitely wouldn't want to bottle it up and wear Trump cologne. And then Kevin McCarthy goes to Mar-a-Lago, and it was like the ambulance pulls up with those little paddles that get your heart started again, and he resurrected him politically. So he bears a lot of blame as well. You cannot politicize fallen American soldiers come hell or high water. That is a red line you can't cross. He crossed it happily, and he's defending himself, right? Or at least saying, I want when I get out of here to leave a country stronger than I came in.
The blame for that.
Well, look, I think the ground for Donald Trump started before he came into the scene.
Imagine spending years calling yourself the strongest, toughest leader America's ever had, then completely losing it when someone calls you a whiny, weak, small, tiny man on TV. That's exactly what happened when Adam Kinzinger dropped a truth bomb that sent Trump into orbit. The man who mocked bleeding from a facelift and handed out childish nicknames to opponents couldn't handle a taste of his own medicine. Kinzinger didn't just criticize Trump, he absolutely demolished the fake tough guy image that Trump's built his entire brand on. And Trump's reaction? Pure meltdown mode. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Do you recall Trump's assertion that he was the strongest and most formidable president in American history? That picture was shredded more quickly than paperwork in the Oval Office. In a verbal assault that would have even WWE commentators red in the face, Adam Kinzinger did more than condemn Trump.
Is getting texts from old friends. My co-pilot I flew with in Iraq texting me that he's ashamed to have ever flown with me.
This is a guy who got a medical exemption through his father's connections, saying that his feet were too bad to serve while he was playing on the basketball team at his school. Is this something that you guys would talk about? Like, oh boy, wow, he's got something going on there.
But there are so many people I talk to that are sitting around like, I just can't speak out. I can't speak
They're scared.
out. Yeah, they're scared.
Yeah.
I had somebody tell me, actually a number of people tell me, Adam, and this is when I was still in, Adam, I appreciate what you're doing. Donald Trump came in and basically has said, it's all about me. The only thing that matters to him is his ego and what that means for him, not for the country.
He utterly destroyed the tough guy image that the previous president had. On National Live, Kinzinger unleashed her full savagery, hitting the man who loves to dole it out but clearly can't handle receiving his own medicine with no script and no filter. This wasn't just another political debate over policies. Rather, it was a concerted effort to undermine the tough guy reputation that Trump has worked so hard to cultivate over the years. In his criticism of Trump, the former congressman was forthright, calling the president a weak man pretending to be strong and a small man pretending to be big. Wow, that really gets to the crux of Trump's entire campaign. As a whole, Kinzinger dismantled Trump's public persona and showed how it was all just a mask that an insecure man wore. Rest assured, things will improve. Actually, Kinzinger did describe Trump's perfume, and it's not the success aroma that Trump's cologne likely purports to be. Kinzinger claims that Trump exudes an odor that resembles armpits, ketchup, a butt, and makeup all in a blender. Trump often insults others with personal attacks like that, but when he's the target, complete collapse. The fact that Kinzinger has a military background only strengthens his takedown. As a military guy who respects strength and leadership, Trump is the opposite of that, remarks a man who has been in the military and understands what true strength looks like. Such remarks carry significant weight. Having an expert chef tell you that your food tastes terrible is like getting advice from someone who knows what they're talking about. For poor Donald, the timing was absolutely terrible. Along comes Kinzinger to publicly strip him of his strongman image just when he is urgently attempting to do so amidst his legal woes. It would be the same of going to a Halloween party dressed up only to have your costume ripped off, exposing your underwear. Donald, that's not cool. The most hurtful aspect of Kinzinger's rhetorical attack on Trump wasn't the colorful remarks, but rather the methodical way in which he exposed Trump's character defects one by one. Like observing a skilled butcher in action, it was surgically removing Trump's public image. So what was it about Kinzinger's remarks that infuriated Trump? Trump was described as a faithless man pretending to be righteous, together with a perpetrator who can't stop playing the victim. Oh no, this is really hurting Trump's carefully crafted image. Trump has gone around claiming to be a fighter, a winner, and a strong leader his whole life, and now Kinzinger is practically accusing him of being dishonest there in front of him. As Trump's staff rushed to react, the sound of terror resounded around Mar-a-Lago. It was clear from their irrational reaction how profoundly Kinzinger's remarks penetrated Trump's ostentatiously thick skin. Trump, who boasts about being tough as nails, certainly becomes embarrassed when he gets called out on his antics. A complete dismantling of Trump was the adjective used to describe Kinzinger's attack, which is the most astonishing thing. What Trump has been selling to America is a lie, and this was more than just insults thrown at him. Like, Kinzinger didn't stop at merely noting that the emperor is shirtless. He proceeded to publish an extensive report on the subject, complete with full-color graphics. Kinzinger's rhetorical assault not only tarnished Trump's reputation, but it also revealed the delicate ego masquerading as hubris. In stark contrast to his boasts of being tough as nails, Trump's responses to criticism expose his profound insecurity. He flinches at the slightest resistance, and thereafter throws a tantrum fit for the president. Even Trump's makeup isn't immune to the irony. He is known as the fights back harder and tells it like it is alpha male, qualities that have helped him build his reputation. He presents himself as the epitome of strength, as someone who is unafraid of anything, knows everything, and can repair anything. What, though, emerges when you probe that orange surface further? A guy whose resilience in the face of criticism is about as strong as a soggy paper towel. You need only peruse his tweet archive, or what we are currently referring to as his truth social tirades. A self-assured leader would never have tweeted those now famous angry messages at 3 in the morning. Someone who couldn't cope with others saying nasty things about him went into a digital tantrum. Somebody on cable TV questioned Trump's IQ, so he slouched over his phone in the middle of the night, typing feverishly with those little fingers while most presidents would be, presidenting. When he receives constructive criticism, what does he do? Is he addressing it with evidence? Partake in in-depth discussion? No way! Declaring, "It's a witch hunt!" He hurries to grab his beloved comfort blanket. Whether it's legal trouble, bad press, or someone telling him he messed up, this is his go-to response. It's like if you were to see a toddler who, believing that his or her one catchphrase will always get them out of trouble. Whispers from Trump's past staff about the delicate emotional state of the president have leaked out. They went on to say that they had to tread carefully around the leader of the free world, keep him apprised of only positive news, and treat him like a grumpy kid who might hurl his juice box at anything he doesn't like. Give that some consideration. To prevent a nervous breakdown, the man in possession of the nuclear codes need emotional support. This fact is so vividly depicted in Kinzinger's takedown that it is so heartbreaking. That Trump can't be seen as a loser and has no empathy for anything but himself were his astute observations, which he nailed completely. Not only is this an attack on Trump's character, but it also pinpoints the insecurity that motivates his every action. True leaders, the ones with real strength, don't shy away from criticism. They take in information, consider it, and occasionally even own up to mistakes. They are self-sufficient and don't require universal acclaim for their brilliance. However, Trump not included. As soon as someone challenges his grandeur, he disappears into the Mar-a-Lago sun like a scoop of ice cream. The analogy that Kinzinger drew about Trump as a 6-year-old boy still trying to earn his father's approval is particularly poignant due to its glaring truthfulness. He is not acting like a self-assured man with all that bluster and boasting about how terrific he is at everything. Someone who has never felt good enough and is perpetually seeking approval is expressing themselves desperately in these cries. Do you recall how Trump responds to criticism with lightning speed? He has degraded anybody who disagrees with him, mocked handicapped reporters, attacked Gold Star families, and called combat heroes losers. On the other hand, if we reverse the roles, he becomes the most persecuted American of all time. Imagine a schoolyard bully who gets furious when someone challenges him, but then breaks down in tears when nobody stands up to him. If the pattern weren't so deadly, it would be comical because it's so predictable. Trump flings insults about like confetti at a parade, but when some of them land on his face, he plays the victim card. Every time someone criticizes him, he uses the same script: deny, deflect, attack, victimhood, and finally, the witch hunt defense. Even though Trump's emotional outbursts are predictable, what's even more perplexing is how his followers spin these flaws as positives. Despite his utter failure at operating a casino, a venture whose sole purpose was to drain people of their hard-earned cash, the man manages to preserve his image as a master of finance. It's a matter of religious commitment as much as political strategy. Kinzinger made a perfect observation when he stated, "He's built a cult of personality, and when you go after the leader of a cult, it's almost like going after somebody's religion." The reason why Trump's fans are so resistant to truth is exemplified by this. Blasphemy becomes the feeling of critiquing your leader when your political identification becomes your spiritual identity. This cult mindset is deeply ingrained, as demonstrated by the personal cost Kinzinger incurred for telling the truth. Someone who had flown with him in the past sent him a text message expressing shame. Worse even, members of his own family formally disowned him by calling him part of the devil's army in a certified letter. Not a casual text, but a disownment nonetheless. Just think about it. All it takes is pointing out that Trump is naked to receive that in your mailbox. When evaluating potential leaders, Kinzinger's credibility is enhanced by his experience as a soldier who served in Iraq. According to his assessment, Trump is scared to death of strong people. This is why Trump chooses to engage in confrontations with nations like Canada. It allows him to project an image of toughness without actually taking any risks. At the same time, he stays away from direct conflict, like a cat stays away from water. The most interesting aspect of Trump's cult is watching his followers engage in mental acrobatics on an Olympic scale to justify his obvious inconsistencies. Even though he is actively trying to conceal his tax returns, they are praising him as a business genius. Despite his incredible feat of bankrupting a casino, a business that essentially prints money, they adore his alleged financial ability. According to Kinzinger, this is the same man who somehow managed to bankrupt a casino, a business model literally designed to vacuum money out of people's pockets. Trump supporters just make up a world where the uncomfortable facts don't exist whenever they become too much to bear. Let them know that their hero stayed out of the military. He would have been the most courageous soldier of all time, they say. Should we bring up his several bankruptcies? They will portray it as an ingenious tax plan. Seeing folks stand in the rain and insist that water isn't wet is like that. How Trump's supporters see his incessant complaining as a sign of strength is the highest form of irony. As Kinzinger so astutely put it, for a guy who claims to be the toughest, strongest, most fearless leader in modern history, he sure does complain a lot. Somehow Trump's followers interpret his frequent shouts of witch hunt as an indication of a powerful leader opposing corrupt powers, rather than a man-child throwing tantrums. The cult mentality is to blame for the fact that Trump's legal problems have simply served to fortify his base. Every damaging piece of evidence, every indictment, every testimony is not perceived as justice finally catching up with wrongdoing. We now see it as evidence that his opponents in the deep state are afraid of him. Instead of just ignoring the evidence, his followers interpret it as proof of their devotion. Trump's greatest fear is the most significant indicator. As Kinzinger puts it, he doesn't fear investigations. What he truly fears is being exposed as a fraud. Here we reach Trump's psychological core. Everything he does, from insulting others to relentlessly promoting himself, is an act to hide his real fear, that others will see through his act and realize he is just a little man with a microphone. The truth is considerably worse, despite Trump's boasts of universal love and support. Communities, friendships, and families have all been shattered by his cult of personality. Family members writing official letters of disownment because of political differences is not typical political discourse, as Kinzinger's personal experience shows. It is, in a nutshell, cult behavior,